Hey guys, today I'm going over the D3 mate. So this is one of the three openings that white can play that loses. So in previous videos I did E4 and D4. So now I'm going to do D3. This one's actually probably the least common one that you run into, and it's also the most difficult one to do. Just because it branches off into like basically three different variations, and then with those variations there's a few different moves the opponent can make, so it's kind of a little bit harder to remember. So I figured I'd walk through them all for you guys. And then also there's a player that famously played D3 and was defeating like high-ranked players with it, because a lot of people don't have all the variations memorized. So I'll kind of go over that first, or I'll go over that too. But first, I'm going to go over the most common way that you'll see this. So if you're playing against a weaker player that opens up with D3 and they don't really understand capture order or what they're doing, this is the line that you'll run, and it's kind of the easiest. So we'll start with, they open with D3, and then what black needs to do is grab the bishop and then move to G7. And so this is kind of like the inverse of the suicide defense. However, the suicide defense is losing, where this is actually winning. So with this intermediate, we kind of trade these pieces off, and then we get to this position, and black needs to move their bishop out to grab white's knight. And in this spot there's kind of two options for white, and they should capture with their knight and hold the bishop. I mean, both lose, but if they capture with their bishop first, that makes the mating sequence just a whole lot easier. It's simpler. So you capture back with your rook, then push D5 to grab the knight, and then this is kind of where the maybe the first mistake might be made. Sometimes people want to ditch their bishop. You actually don't want to do that. Instead, you want to move your knight out and continue to grab the knight. And then your next move is then to move your rook over. And so by doing that, you're attacking up here and uncovering this square. And so then most common response, and this is where I talk about where it branches off. So the knight right now has three different squares that it can attack. The most common response that you're going to see is they're going to take the king, because it's could potentially be killed by the rook, but we slid it over so that we can attack up here. So now their only option is to capture back with the bishop, and then there's a few lines that you can go from here to win, but like what I always do is I push this pawn up, and what that does is gives two targets for the knight. And then the most common response that you're going to see is they're going to attack with the bishop, thinking, hey, maybe you can have some kills to do, but instead we're going to grab with the rook, and now they have two kills with their knight. Now you're covering this. So we need to move the rook. You can really move it anywhere. I always just move it back down. And then to finish the cleaning, we go up and re-grab white's queen. And so then that's the simplest and most common way to win against D3. And you'll kind of notice as I'm going to go over the kind of the different branches with that. You'll notice that we kind of use that cleaning, and then there's another cleaning where we use their bishop. So I skipped through the beginning, and I'm going to go from here where the knight has the three options. So the first one that we did was this, capture the king, and then let's say if they decide, so if you remember last time when I just did this, I captured with the bishop first and we captured back with the rook. If they capture with the knight first, we just remove the target for the bishop, so he has to kill, then we can slide our rook over and then finish the cleaning. Let's see, coming back to the beginning here. So those are kind of the two cleaning routes if they take the king. If he takes the rook instead, which is probably the least common of the options, then what I do is I push this pawn up again, and I'm giving the knight kills, and I want to force him this direction, so I'm gonna move my king over and give it another kill, and then this one we're gonna finish, like if you can see where the knight is coming in like these directions, like that's how we can get the cleaning. I don't want to set up this kill yet because then I'm going to cover the king. So instead, this is kind of like a waiting move. I'm just pushing this pawn, and now I can move the bishop over and then move the pawn up one space again, and then finished with the win there. And then the third route, let's see, if we go here, then we have to capture with our rook, which gets their bishop, and then this kind of goes back to similar how we did on the first one. We can kind of ignore the bishop and give the knight a new target. So if they attack with the bishop first, we do like we did originally, and we just take back with the rook, and now that knight has multiple kills that he has to do. So this is just a waiting move, and then I go and get the queen again. If we go back, let's see. If he takes with the knight instead, then we do the line where we push that pawn up and we finish the cleaning with the bishop. And again, you'll kind of notice that those are the two ways to do it. Kind of giving the knight multiple kills and then either moving out of the way so the bishop's not attacking, or moving out of the way and then cleaning with the bishop. So you're going to clean with the bishop or the queen in the end. So those are the three paths. And so then the last thing that I want to show is if you're playing against that D3 player or any other player that's going to play D3 that actually knows how to play, and they're maybe trolling a little bit and saying I'm going to play this losing opening because if I hold my bishop on c7 right here, so when we get to this spot, like I said, most of the weaker opponents are going to attack down here, but if they capture with their knights, to get the mate, you still do the same thing in the sense that you pull the knight in these two spots and you're going to move your rook over. But the strong player is going to keep his bishop on c7 and just leave it sitting there hoping that you capture in the wrong order at some point. So I'm going to go through the three branches again, and most of them end up like resolving the exact same way that we would do without the bishop there, but there's a couple spots where you just have to be careful that you're doing the right thing. Alright, so then if he takes the king, we come up here obviously and attack. We don't recapture the knight because then they're attacking here, and then our rook would be coming up here. We'd have to attack back here, or if they go here, then we're attacking here, and we have a bunch of pieces, so we lose. So in this spot, again, the most common thing you'll see is they're going to hold this bishop here on c7 and attack back here. And let's see, this, we're gonna push our f pawn up. That way we're giving 2 kills for the knight, and white has 3 options. So I'm not sure which one. I think like if you're playing the stronger player, you could see any of the three. So let's say they capture with their bishop first. At that point, black has to capture back, and now they've got these two kills lined up again, which both lose, and this one's got like two in a row lined up, so it doesn't really matter what they take. Let's say that they take with their bishop. You'll see that this is that spot that we started with the original one. We can capture back, then we need to move back down out of the way, and then we come and grab the queen. So that one's simple if they do that. I gotta need to go back to where that branch was. If we do, let's say we did this right. So we captured with the dark squared bishop. If we get the light squared bishop first, we have to capture back the bishop, and then kind of the catch with that is like, yes, we have to kill this, but this knight has 2 kills, so it's not going to matter. So say if he kills with his knight, then we have to take there, and then again, either spot that he kills. So say he kills with the knight, which is more common because when you're in that position as white, like this piece looks like, oh, it's trapped, like it can't move. But what white or what black can then do is basically go grab the queen. So now we're in this spot where either one that he kills, we're gonna win. So if he does this again because he's holding this spot, then we can move our knight out and get the queen, and then we can get the last 2 pieces killed. If we come back, like obviously if he grabs here first, then we have to capture back, and now we're in the same spot where we can use this queen to get those last 2 killed. And then if we're over here, if he were to capture first there, we have to capture back. His knight has that kill, and then we're doing the same thing. We're gonna grab the queen and clean that up. So that's if he takes the king. So now we've got the 2 other branches. So let's say he takes the rook instead. So we're gonna push the F pawn, and just like we did as if the bishop was already on B8 instead, like we're doing the same thing. We're gonna move the king over to line it up for 2 kills. If he takes with the knight first, this is that one variation that I was talking about where this is a little different than normal. Like, so you don't, like, so we want to move our knight out of the way so that bishop's not killing anything. But if we move it to D7, that's a mistake because then we're covering this piece. So really, like, we just need to move it up and out of the way. So now that bishop's not attacking anything. The knight has to capture, and then we can run the bishop the rest of the way. Let's see, did we miss? If there was a different option. If he takes with the bishop first in any of these positions, then you're back in the original scenario from our first easy cleaning where we're lighting up a bunch of kills. So again, just moving the pawn up 1 as a delaying move, and then up 2 to do that. And then the final one is if he takes this pawn, and our rook has to come up in this spot. This one, the move to remember. All right, I guess we'll do if he takes with the bishop here first. We capture back. He grabs his bishop, and then what we want to do is move our F pawn up to give his knight the 2 kills, And then you can see we're in this spot again where now I can just move this up and run the bishop. I guess we can just do that. And then if we go back, yeah, I think that covered both options. I want to go. Problem with doing all of these is there's so many, and now I'm forgetting which ones that I've gone through and which ones I haven't. If we capture with the bishop first, we did that. I feel like there's a line. Oh, here we go. Yes. If he captures with the bishop, so you remember last time I ran it and we captured over here first, so then we could recapture. If he captures up here, you can see now that he's threatening both of these squares, and we actually do not want to move our f-pawn in this particular position because then we actually lose. So the winning move is to bring our bishop to h3, and I think that's the one that I feel like I struggle with to remember, is if they capture with their bishop first on g2, is I need to bring my bishop out here, and now that makes it so that we can win. So white, as you see, has 4 moves. Let's see if we can remember to cover all 4. So if he attacks here first, we capture back, and then you're kind of looking at, they've got 2 options. I don't know, let's just say he captures here, then we have to capture back, then they have a capture, and now we're looking at this, and like really like the knight, we probably put it like here and then bring it back to get the win. If we go back a few moves to right here, let's say if they capture with this bishop first, then what we do is move our knight out of the way, because our rook is covering this and we don't want to have 2 kills lined up in a row, so it's important to get the knight out of the way. And now they've got 2 kills, and either one, I think it's pretty obvious how to clean, or simple enough to clean, like you should be able to figure it out from here. So, and I just picked, like there's many routes to choose from, so I'm trying to simplify it and tell them you have 1 kill as your only option. And same here, now I'm going to line up 2 kills, and then I can go pin the knight on top of the pawn for the win. Coming back to here, I don't know if, like if they grab with their knights, I think we're still in the same spot where we can move this out of the way again, because now this bishop's coming down. So lots of options in this spot. You just need to make sure that you're not like, say we can go here, they have to go here, and then you can say, hey, let's make this bishop capture here and then get my knight killed, and then do the same thing where we pin the pawn on the knight. So I think, I don't know if I need to go over all 4. I think we did all 4. Yeah, that covers all 4. And so I think I've covered all of the branches. And again, like these last few, like maybe you take the time to study them, but it's not really going to come up very often. It's really coming back to this first one. Like this is the line that if they open with d3, the most common thing that you're going to see is they take with their bishop, and then you can grab the knight, and then you move your rook over, and they're almost always going to grab the king, and then you can just move up to grab the knight, so it has 2 kills, and if they grab with their bishop, then you can go ahead and just capture with your rook and move it back down. And then the opposite, if they capture here first, then you can move that up, and then you run the bishop instead. So that's the D3 mates. I just recommend learning that first one. The first one's pretty simple to remember. I guess if you run into somebody that's holding their bishop in that spot, like maybe you come back and do a little bit of studying to see if you can remember it, but again, it doesn't come up very often. Like me personally, I forget it sometimes too, because you just don't see it, because it's not a very common opening for a reason, because it loses. But then also, like, beginner players don't even play it that often because they're copying what other ones they see. So if you got a brand new player, you'll see E4 and D4 because those are kind of standard chess openings, where D3 isn't used as often, so you just don't see it. But so that's this video. I've got some more coming up. We'll see you guys later.